I mean,
It's
our editor actually
Kristi
did it.
Lowe.
Yeah, there we go. That's actually correct. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Storytime. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Once again, you will find all of your Storytime and Game Time content under this channel. Thank you so much for the support. We love and appreciate you guys. Today, we have singer-songwriter Kristi Lowe in studio. Kristi, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
so
here.
much for having me.
We've, I can say we've wanted to do this for a while.
We have 2
Yeah.
years, yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last we saw you was at your at a performance you did in town, which was incredible. For Villain.
Yes.
Right, eh?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome experience. You had all your family and friends and everyone there. Thank you for having us.
Of course.
That was very special. So, can we say that we're going to be doing another one with you?
Yes.
Next week, we can
Yes,
say that, eh?
very
Okay,
much so.
okay. Your debut album, Glimpse Inside My Mind, has now officially dropped.
Yes,
Congratulations.
finally.
There you go. Please, everyone go download and listen. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere
Deezer,
that there
everywhere.
are sounds.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
lekker.
Wherever you
Okay.
get your music, it's there.
Go find it there.
Exactly.
Sick. Thank you for sending me everything early as well before this
course.
conversation. It was incredible to listen to everything and to also just read through the explanations and definitions behind everything that you've written and performed over the last few years. I did a little cheeky and I stole an about from your website.
Love that for you. No.
Because I'm lazy and
I mean, it's far too much work.
You know what I'm saying?
What,
yeah,
you meant to write something about me? Exhausting.
my job's just so damn difficult that I don't even have the nerve to write. Yeah. But I thought this was incredibly written and it sums up everything really nicely. Rising South African artist Kristi Lowe has cultivated a sound that transcends genres. A gifted singer-songwriter, Kristi has spent the last 3 years crafting a unique fusion of jazz, R&B, pop, and soul, drawing from legends like Etta James, Amy Winehouse, and Olivia Dean. Her rich, soulful voice and raw, authentic style set her apart as one of South Africa's most exciting emerging artists. Kristi's music journey began at the age of 15 with the release of her first single in collaboration with the band Good Luck, a project born out of a deeply personal mission to save the life of her sister, Jenna Lowe. After Jenna's passing, Kristi stepped back from the spotlight to heal. When she returned to music, it was with renewed purpose, pouring her emotions into the poignant, thank you so much, I can't speak English, single, Take Me Away, a heartfelt reflection on loss and the path to recovery. Kristi has performed alongside renowned. We're doing well. I'm getting,
yeah.
That's the big words that mess with me. Musicians on various coveted lineups, sharing stage with the likes of Johnny Clegg, Mikasa, Jimmy Nevis, Mango Groove, and Sifu Hot Sticks.
Sipo Hot Sticks
Sipu Hot Sticks Mabusa. Thank you. Kristi has proven herself to be a formidable presence in the music industry. I thought that was really cool. It went from like early days through so many different things that you've achieved to pretty much kind of feeling where you are now. So where are you now and how are you doing? How's things going?
Yeah, very well, very well. It's been an exciting couple of weeks. This album has been 1.5 years in the making, so it's been a long process kind of getting it ready to be put out into the world. But it's kind of a relief to finally have it. I think a lot of artists know the feeling of like you sit with something for so long, and finally having it out in the world is a big kind of sigh of relief. Like, okay, cool, my part's done. Now it's yours. You guys can listen to it. So I think it's been a cathartic process. It's been great. It really has been a kind of journey of discovery for me as an artist and just as a person, figuring out kind of who I wanted to be in my music, the sound I wanted to put out there. And I think, you probably noticed listening compared to Villain, very different sound, very different feel. I've kind of, over the last 3 or 4 years since I started writing my own music, been figuring out what I wanted my sound to be like. What I wanted to kind of put out into the world as an artist, what I wanted to represent. And I think this project is the first time I've kind of landed on something that I'm like, cool, this is me. And it feels like a bit like I found my musical home in a way.
Do you think there's a need to, because you say putting so much of yourself into the project, do you think there's a need to separate the professional outlook career-wise, and then personally what you want to share and what you want to put into the thing you're making? Or are you looking at it as two in the same?
Great question. I think it depends on the kind of artist you are.
Okay.
I think there are kind of two ways to approach, well, there are many ways to approach being an artist, and none is right or wrong. But what I've kind of seen from the outside is like you can either be an artist who kind of creates a persona for themselves that you embody when you step into that world, that professional world of like, so like Chapel Roan is a great example. Her kind of artistry is separate from her as an individual. She doesn't see them as one and the same. I would say I'm not that kind of artist. My music and who I am are like inextricably linked. You can't separate them out from each other. And I'm never putting anything on when I write, when I step out onto stage. I am who I am, and I write because of that and because of what I've been through. So I put a lot of myself into my music. In a very vulnerable and personal way, but also in a way that I hope allows people to kind of connect and resonate with and see a bit of themselves in. And I think that's kind of the main reason I got into music, really, is because of connecting with people. So I think for me, like my main goal as an artist is always, and first and foremost, authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And writing about stuff that is so personal to you, I've loved writing from like a really young age. So I've done a ton of it. Not that I don't think anyone will ever see it, but journals filled with writing. And I find being able to articulate the way you feel rhythmically, if that makes any sense, such an incredible talent. And I think there's actually not many musicians that have the ability to do it. That's why labeling yourself as singer-songwriter is such a huge accolade, right? Being able to do both. It's really tough to have both skills, I think, as someone looking from the outside.
Yeah.
When you writing, this is going to be such a primary level question, but when you writing, how do you know what's good in terms of people will resonate with these words, different from this is how I feel right now and I'm just putting it on a page?
I think it's different for everyone, and everyone's writing processes are different. For me, I find that, you know, and you were saying like how much of yourself are you willing to give when you're writing, how personal are you willing to get? I always start with like bare everything, you know, tell the story as it is, true to me and my experience. And then from there you can go back and pick the parts that have the most kind of feeling to them, that resonate well. And I think most writers know, like you'll write a line and you'll be like, oh, that kind of slaps, like, you know,
there's a feeling to it, right?
Yeah. And it lands differently, you know, and every now and then you get a little bit of like a gold nugget in the rough and you're like, okay, cool, that's staying, you know. But I think everyone's writing style is different. There's no right or wrong way to approach it. And the same way for me, like I sometimes start music first and write to that. And I sometimes start lyric first, basically write a poem and then put the music to that. You know?
That's cool. Okay.
So it's there's no right or wrong way. I've definitely found myself recently though, and with this album, leaning more towards music first.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I had kind of topics in mind with the album that I knew I wanted to write about. I knew the kind of story I wanted to tell, the journey I wanted to take people on. But we kind of sat, me and my producer and co-writer, creative on the album, Blake Hellaby.
Yeah.
He was sensational and just so incredible to work with on this project. And we kind of sat in studio, and each time I found myself kind of craving to write to a sound first. And I think so often that is... I at least have found for myself an easier way to write, because you let the music inspire a feeling in you and then you go with that, you know. So even if you have kind of a topic in mind, the music kind of leads you down where it's going to go kind of as a narrative in its storytelling. Whereas if you try and write a poem first and then be like, okay, cool, how am I going to match a sound to this? It's actually a little bit harder, I've found. But it depends, really depends.
I'm currently obsessed with the Justin Bieber albums, Swag and Swag 2.
Yes, yeah.
I think they're incredible. I just think there's so much, it sounds like someone had so much fun making them. But it made me go back and watch through, there was a documentary series that he put out that I think was 7 episodes on YouTube as YouTube originals. And a lot of the show is him in the studio in his creative process.
Yes, yeah.
So reason I bring that up in terms of saying like having fun making it, as much as it's fun, it's also extremely cathartic, which can be both happy and sad, right, into making something. But you see that example of him in studio with something playing, and he'll be standing at a mic and try to sing something, and that doesn't work. Try this, try that, change these words, change those words. But then in another song on the album, in one of his older albums, someone came to him with words that were already written, and they were like, this is what I think you should sing.
Yeah.
And he read them the first time, changed a couple things, and went, dude, what you wrote resonates with me so deeply that I feel that I can provide honesty to those words, right? Do you find yourself in that space, two-part question, cathartically going, I'm going to sit down and write. I want to write about something happy, and then try to get to the place of being happy enough to write something? Or is it, I woke up this morning and I'm feeling really sad, I should write about this? If that question makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to put yourself in a space. I mean, it is a skill, and I do try and practice that, but it's definitely easier to write from a place that you're already in, you know? And I think, you know, we as humans, we fluctuate throughout the day, throughout the week emotionally. So sometimes it's just easier to be like, okay, I'll write about this when I'm feeling it, you know?
Yeah.
If you have the luxury of time.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because albums don't get put out all the time, right? There's usually year-long breaks, if not even longer, between albums.
Yeah.
And that might be explanation as to why artists need that time.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the process of creating an album as well, this is my first full kind of album project, and it's been so different. I've learned so much compared to like writing a single, for example. There's so much more to consider. There's so much more to get lost in the creative process. There's so much more to take into account, to kind of experiment with. And I think as a writer and as a musician, I really had a lot of fun with that, you know. And we didn't have a timeline in mind as well, which in a lot of ways was helpful because it allowed us to really play. And I think the best parts of creating come alive when you allow yourself the space to be creative, embrace that creativity and not give yourself kind of limitations. But yeah, it was a challenging and incredibly fulfilling and really, really exciting and joy-filled kind of process for me. You know, it had its ups and downs, and sometimes I was like, oh my God, like I can't get this song right. Like,
I was going to ask,
yeah, sometimes you sit with something. I mean, the title track, Glimpse Inside My Mind, I wrote in bed. I'd been in the studio the whole day working on another song with Blake. Got home, in the last 10 minutes in studio, wrote like a little guitar loop. He sent me home with it, and he was like, see if something comes up. I was sitting in bed listening to it, and I wrote the whole song in 10 minutes. And it just like came out because I was sitting there overthinking everything, which is what the song's about. And then I was just lying there, and it kind of came to me, and I was like, I can't sleep at night. And I was like, oh, that's a song.
Okay, wait, now I'm going to ask you on this kind of stuff as well. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and anyone listening can correct me as well, but when you're an artist of any form, I think you have the ability to step outside of yourself and view almost externally a state of mind that you're in, or a way that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time with music, with acting as well, a lot of what I'm putting in is the way that I feel and the way that I've viewed things and the way that I've experienced different moments in my life. And if I'm not aware of them and I'm not present, one, in feeling something deep enough that the feeling is honest, but also present enough to see, I sound like a crazy person, but to see how I'm feeling, I won't ever study it and I won't ever have the memory thereof to go and actually put something down, right? So when you sitting in bed and you frustrated and you're going, I can't think of writing something, and the thing you write actually becomes, I'm sitting in bed and I can't sleep and write something. Like,
exactly.
Are you aware of that ability to be outside of yourself to the point of like, oh, this is actually how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a dead end in, oh, I can't write.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I have both the burden and the lesson of having been through a very hard time in my life where I was incredibly kind of depressed and detached after losing my sister. And between kind of the ages of 17 and 20, 21, I was on a lot of medication. I was struggling to get out of bed. I was dealing with like some really heavy stuff that I won't get into today, but it took a lot out of me to kind of get through your average day, you know? And it kind of made me realize going through that, how detached you have to be, like how in touch you have to be, in order to create. Because I completely stopped singing. I stopped writing. I stopped, all of my kind of creative outlets just disappeared because I wasn't feeling anything. And there was nothing for me to tap into in order to create. And I think it's interesting because it's as much observing yourself as it is being in touch with yourself.
Yes.
And allowing yourself to feel hard things or good things or whatever it is, but allowing yourself to feel things deeply, like you said, because I think one thing that artists are very blessed with is we do feel things very deeply, because in order to get in touch with them, they have to be kind of resonating somewhere. And I think I would never choose what I have been through in life, and 100%. I would never wish it on anyone else, but it's very much informed both who I am as a person and how I write music as an artist.
Drinking an oxhydrate feels like.
Is there no one else? Give it up for still now.
Let's get back to the show.
I don't want to go too much into that time of your life unless you really want to.
It's up to you.
But it is, I mean, I was telling you earlier when we were downstairs, saying as in like, that experience feels like such a universal experience, but so unique at the same time, in that at some point, everyone addresses the fact of loss at some point in their life.
Yeah.
It's when it's so premature and so unexpected out of what I would imagine that it's such a sideswipe.
Yeah, very much so.
What is, I don't even know how to articulate the question, but like how, sorry, I know this is such a, again, primary level question, but like how do you deal with that? And I asked the question in that, like, I'm sure there are other people that are dealing with something similar. How would you articulate that in terms of like advice or suggestion or like, this is what helped me? And
no, it's a great question. It's a great question. I think it's interesting because two things come to mind. The first is loss is an inevitable and inescapable part of the human experience. You know, like we all know the second we come into this world that the people we love most are not always going to be there. I think it's hard in and of itself, but what makes it even more difficult is when it doesn't happen in the natural order of things. You know, so you expect, as you get a bit older, to lose a grandparent, as you get a bit older to maybe lose a parent, which I've just lost my dad now in October. Like that's also like incredibly difficult thing to come to terms with. But when it's a child, someone's child or a sister kind of at an inexplicable age, like it's way too young to lose someone. Jen was 20 when she passed. Lost my cousin when she was 13. You know, like these are not ages that people should be passing away. That it's not the natural progression of things. And I think two things. The one is that it becomes an excruciating truth to bear that can happen to people, that it feels like an injustice, you know. And I think as people we struggle with that, you know. So that's the one hard thing to process. And then the other is the age at which you lose that person. Because I, at 17, losing my sister, at 15, losing my cousin, and coming to terms with all these rare diseases and illnesses and the people I loved and their mortality, both confronts you with your own and puts you in a place where you kind of have to try and answer all these kind of big looming questions that you shouldn't have to really think about at that age, you know. And in some ways, it made me mature and grow up a lot faster, and it made me think about the world differently, and it's informed who I am and who I've become. But in other ways, it delayed that process because I had so much to hold and so much to process, so much. I mean, like just one little thing off the top of my head is the amount of survivor's guilt I had after my sister passed, because you have the why her and not me.
Is that's a like legit?
Yeah, big time. And it's quite a well-known thing, especially with siblings, because like sibling relationships are complicated in and of themselves. And
Yeah.
I was incredibly close to my sister. We were inseparable, but you still hate your siblings sometimes. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
like
yeah.
they are your biggest rival in life.
Yeah,
They
it's
come
the
into the
best.
world
Yeah.
from the first minute you're competing with them for your parents' attention. You're comparing yourself to them with everything you do. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you love the person. You're still like in this dynamic of sibling rivalry. And then when that person passes, you're left with this thing of like, oh my, what have I done? Like we didn't get to play out the competition, you know, no one got to, we didn't get to grow into adulthood together and figure out the complexities of our relationship. And I think there's guilt and anger and resentment that comes with that. And it's all very natural and it's all very like it's part of the natural process of growing up. But what makes it difficult is when it gets interrupted, you know? And I think you were saying like to share advice with people. My main little bit of advice for anyone who's going through grief of loss of any kind is like just be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself the space to feel these difficult emotions because a lot of them are not rational. A lot of them are really hard to hold. A lot of them aren't actually what you really believe, but just come up with complications with the way things played out, you know? And I think, yeah, it's a difficult thing coming to terms with loss at such a young age, but at any age, all throughout your life. I mean, I know people have only lost parents as they got into their 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know, and it's not any easier, I hate to say.
Yeah.
I wish it was, but the only thing is that you're more equipped to deal with it because you know who you are as a person, you know, you have your coping mechanisms kind of pre-established, you know how to, like who to turn to, how to cope with things. And I think that was one of the hardest things for me is that like at 17, I was like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know who I am. Like, how am I meant to come to terms with all of this? How am I meant to know, like, what the right or wrong way to deal with this is?
So, about to say, you don't yet know how you as a person deal with stuff yet at that age.
Exactly. And for me, I mean, I was so terrified of the big emotions I was feeling that I just put myself to bed. And that's what they say, what depression is it's like anger turned inwards, you know, it's internalized feeling. Because the opposite of depression is not joy, it's expression. So the second you decide, I'm not able to feel these things externally, I'm not able to process them, I'm going to turn them inwards, and you depress yourself, you put yourself to sleep, you know.
But then it makes sense how your creativity and singing and writing was the thing that got silenced because expression was
little
gone.
flame just got snuffed out.
Yeah.
There was nothing there, you know.
What was the turn to help you out of that space again then?
I think the main thing for me was just having the incredible support system I had in my family.
Okay.
I mean, my parents were just like, they never gave up on me. They were always there, and it was triggering for them. It was hard for them. They just had a child that was in bed for 4 years, in ICU for 6 months, and then passed away. And then I just put myself in bed as well, and they were like,
I see. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, their one living, surviving child wasn't living, you know. And it brought up a lot of stuff. And as a family, I think the one thing we've always gotten right is we speak about everything. We had the hard conversations. And in the beginning for me, I was not so happy to do it. You know, they had to really kind of squeeze it out of me, and I would avoid it. And I was not so keen on going there and talking about the hard things. But slowly as I kind of realized that life was worth living again, I think that was the main thing, is like I just kept getting pushed to experience new things and live my life by the people that loved me until slowly I believed that I wanted to again.
Can you recall, like if you think back to that time, can you recall a moment or like a thing or like a sentence or a morning or a time or like something that you were like, oh wow, and it sparks, like you said, that flame. Someone started trying to light the match again.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. All of this kind of started coming to life again for me during COVID, because I had kind of taken that time and I was not doing so well, and I was about to finish my degree, and COVID hit and I had to move home. And suddenly I was back in the house with my parents. I wasn't able to avoid all of these hard conversations. A lot of the dynamics that, you know, we'd been through earlier, it started playing out again because we were back in the same house together. And yeah, the timing was quite good because I was in the right space to receive it as well. I'd kind of grown up a little bit. I'd done a bit of work. I've been in therapy. Go to therapy. It's great.
Went once or twice.
Yeah, and I think basically what happened is that I started kind of working through the stuff that was keeping me stuck. And then that was when I wrote Take Me Away. And I think that was the first time during COVID, during lockdown, I had enough time and space alone with myself to sit down and be like, you know what, I really miss like creating and writing. And I sat down at my piano and wrote Take Me Away. And that was when I was like, why did I ever stop doing this? I love this, yeah.
It seems so clear in the moment, but up until actually doing it, you're like...
Yeah, I wasn't in the right space. I didn't have the capacity, but I think as it got towards the end of lockdown and I started realizing it also takes a little bit of stuff being taken away from you, I think.
Okay.
You know, like not being able to go out and enjoy and see my friends and party and listen to live music and kind of enjoy the world around me. I was like, oh wow, I actually miss it. Look at me enjoying life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that, you articulate yourself very well, by the way. Yeah, you speak very well, but it's very easy to understand what you're saying, but also to kind of feel how you would have felt through the moment, the way that you explain it. But on the other side of that coin, then, like re-establishing life and like re-finding joy and finding pleasure in the small things and in connections with people and, you know, moments around you. What has your experience been like of that side of life, like thereafter? Because I think for a lot of people, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think for a lot of people, we kind of unassumingly experience joy and happiness. We don't kind of like choose to have it,
for granted,
right? We kind of wait for it to hit us and go, this is so much fun, and then experience the fun and walk, you know, like we kind of go with the highs and lows. But when you face something really difficult, like you said, you become so aware of your own morality, but I think you become so aware of your own feelings and your own, like how fleeting joy and happiness can actually be, that it can go so quickly, right?
And I think that's both the joy and the gift of it, right? Is like it's the burden and the gift of it is that you get that perspective, which is invaluable. It's so important to realize, you know, how privileged we are. I mean, look at the city that we live in. To be able to walk out your door and see Table Mountain, I mean, like even just those little magical moments. The more I travel the world, the more I come home and go like, what is this?
Home's dope.
Like what? But I think, it's interesting because I think, as I said, I would never have chosen it for myself. And I think that's always the kind of contradiction to it, is like it is a gift because you get to enjoy the small things in life and the big things in life. But I think it's also a realization that I had to come to terms with when I lost my sister, but also more recently with my dad, is like one thing not a lot of people talk about with grief is how, like, yes, you expect the hard moments to be hard and you know that you're going to miss them so desperately on their birthday and on Christmas and all the moments where you're meant to like spend together as a family. But what most people don't really talk about is how hard the good days become as well. And it's interesting for me, that's been the hardest thing for me to come to terms with, is like when I think about like my birthday just passed, or the album launch, or my first show in London, and you think about the things that you would have wanted to share with that person. And then these big joyous occasions have this undercurrent of like, oh, but how much better would it have been if they were there to share it with me, you know? And I don't know, I don't think that goes anywhere. It gets easier to hold. But I also don't think it's a completely bad thing, because it does give you that perspective, and it allows you to see the value in all the time that you did get to share with them as well, you know. Like I know for me, my dad was my person. He was like the most incredible father. He was there for me like in the most insane ways throughout my life. And not having him around, I've never been more grateful for the person that he was, you know. Yeah, and I think it is a good lesson in not taking things for granted.
Yeah. I like this conversation. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
We want to thank you guys for watching this far. We also want to thank Super Mushrooms for keeping me focused for every episode of Storytime.
Yeah, I get emotional about that kind of stuff because my family and I are like really, really, really close. And I adore my dad. So like when you say something like that, I'm like, fuck, that's like next level shit to go through, you know?
Yeah.
But I would like want to keep that of the conversation going because I want to lead that into the album itself and all the individual songs as well and why you wrote them. And there was, I made a note in my notes when I was listening through all the songs this morning, what I really like and appreciate in music, and there's so many things that I do, but one of the things that I really appreciate is when people find this contradiction of like, you'll know the terminology better than me, but the topic being sung about is joyful, but then the tone and the rhythm of the song is almost saddening.
Yeah.
And there's this like
medicated.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. So
there's
like
this like
the
juxtaposition.
direct, that's the exact word.
And I feel like you did that so well in the album.
Thank you.
In a sense of happy sad, for lack of a better word, happy sad kind of, you know, juxtaposition, but also in terms of like being very real and honest and grounded and very mature in the way that you're articulating everything, but at the same time it still manages to be sexy and flowy and fun. You know what I'm saying? Like at the same time.
I think it's a good skill as an artist to know as well when to let something be what it is. Like I'm Fine is a good example. It's a sad ballad, you know what I mean? And it's got that little bit of kind of R&B live band feel, and we pick it up a bit towards the end, but it's a song about not being fine, you know, and we let it be that in its sound. But Medicated, it's a song about being put on antidepressants. It's about being depressed and detached from my emotions. But the whole point of how he wrote the song is that you wouldn't know that if you didn't listen to it, and that speaks to the message behind it. Because, like, if you're detached from it, then you won't feel what you're feeling, you know. So the melody line and the feel of the song, very upbeat, very kind of, you know, if you didn't listen too closely, you wouldn't know what it was about. But the underlying message is not that. It's not that happy, clappy kind of, you know. And I think, some people want to sit in their feelings. Some people want to listen to an I'm Fine or I Can't Hold Me Down and really feel those things. And some people don't. Some people want to be able to get delivered the message without having to like kind of hold on to the depth of what they're feeling, you know. And it's not even just per person, you know. You have moments, like I have moments where I really don't want to listen to I'm Fine. I'm like, no, don't want to go there today, you know. And I think, it's really amazing. I'm so grateful that I'm able to do this as a career and to be able to kind of explore my passion as a livelihood. But the idea of being able to kind of write a soundtrack to someone else's life, you know, that someone might be driving along in their car and listening to something that I've written. I mean, that's like such a wild thought to me.
Crazy.
And it's so amazing to be able to like kind of put something out into the world that other people potentially connect with and enjoy, you know, and that is really why I do this. Is like I have something to share, and I hope that other people kind of love it as much as I do, you know.
A lot of the time, like you saying something, like sometimes you don't want to listen to I'm Fine. Like there's certain movies that I really want to watch, or like we really want to watch, but I have to be in a certain headspace to do it.
Oh no, I'm exactly the same.
I still haven't watched Malcolm and Marie. Really? But there's something about a movie, about a couple that just fight and go at each other that stresses me out.
No, I'm the same.
To no end.
I'm the same. I'm also one of those people, I'm like, if I'm in any kind of anxious, if I have any anxiety at all, I can only watch something I've seen before.
Yes.
I'll literally
Friends.
Friends, New Girl.
There you
Brooklyn
go.
Nine-Nine. Like, give me something I can recite the script back to you. Literally word for word. But it's like my little comfort show. Put it on in the background. Don't have to think too much.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what it's there for, right?
Exactly.
And you know, like that's such a cool thing you bring up, because I believe some things are made with that as the reason.
In mind, yeah.
Yes.
And music's the same, right? Some of it's
100%.
escapism. Some of it's put it on, forget about your worries, forget about what's going on in life and just enjoy yourself.
Yep.
And some of it takes you there. Some of it's like, here, let's go there together. Let's be a little bit kind of introspective and really think about the things that we've been through.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of it, is like music in and of itself is a tool for connection, and you can choose how you want to do that. The kind of Corona Sunsets, we love summer, let's go get drunk and dance together is just as valuable as the I'm fine, Adele, let's cry about our breakups and the people that we've lost, you know. They both serve their purpose, and that's what makes it so beautiful, is it's a universal language that has its application in every setting. That's why I love it.
Oh, it's incredible. Like an artist gets given the gift because it's a gift to you, because I don't know any artist or creative that wants to make something and have no one see or hear it.
Yeah.
There's something about the community and the sharing thereof
Exactly.
that gives it its purpose.
Yeah.
So as a creative, you get given the gift that you get to hold someone's hand and walk them through something that they then going to experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes whether they want to or not, you know, and
You will listen to this.
you will download this album and listen to it. Yeah, that kind of, I think that's such a gift in that I've tried, especially within the acting space of things, like to not do it, to just be like,
Oh, I don't mind about it.
you
Yeah,
know, like
whatever-
maybe it was
whatever
just a
happens.
time. Yeah, like, and then I have restless nights thinking about that all the time of like, it wouldn't make sense to me because I don't want to be in a room by myself and acting. I want to be with people on set and other creatives and other actors in
Engaging
front of
with
me. And like,
people,
it's,
and I think that's an interesting thing, because basically what the reason that I got into this career is to connect with people and to like, it's a passion that I'm excited about, but like you said, if I couldn't share it with people, I don't know what the point would be, you know. I do think that there are some artists, you said no artists, I think there are some artists that like physically cannot help but create, you know, it just kind of flows out of them, and that's like, and I think in a similar way, you said you have journals and pages and pages of writing that you've done. That's a similar thing, you know. 100%. That's still creating. That's still, you're creating art even if you're not sharing it, you know. And I think it's interesting because separating out creating for your own kind of personal like cathartic processing and all of that, that's so important. I don't think enough people do that, you know, especially in today's world. We've really kind of undervalued creativity and putting aside time to just be alone with your thoughts and create. But the other side of things is interesting because it's a lot to come to terms with as an artist. I'm sure you have it as an actor as well. Like, you kind of have to sit with that discomfort of being like, why do I want to be seen? Like, why do I want to be perceived by so many people? Like, what is it inside me that makes me want to get up on stage and have a whole lot of people like sit there and look at me while I share this thing that I've created. And it really like battles with my ego sometimes. I have to sit there and be like, why do I want this? Like, why do I need external validation? Is that it? And I think I went round and round in circles for a while about it before I realized, like, it's not about validation. It's about connection and having something to share, not something to prove. And once that kind of clicked for me, I was like, I don't need to be ashamed of wanting this, of wanting to have an audience of people that I've connected with, a community that I can share something with and get something back from. You know, it's a conversation. And that only happened also in this process with my album. And I think that's why this music feels so different to me. Because it's not me being like, hey, look at this thing that I made. It's me being like, hey,
look, I made this for you. Yeah.
And what do you think of it? And what does it make you feel? And how does it make you want to interact or think? Or what does it make you want to talk about? And actually had an interview last night on MFM, and amazing woman Lissetti was interviewing me, and she was saying, like, she didn't know the story behind I'm Fine before she listened to it. And it brought up like all different things for her, you know.
Oh, really?
Also still about loss, but or whatever it might be, but in a completely different context. And I think that's the beauty of music, is like, I can be writing about something so incredibly personal to me, and it can have the same kind of personal resonance with you, but on a completely different level, you know, something completely different that you might have gone through. And I think that's what makes it so special. You know?
Yeah. I had one of the most incredible things. My dad used to say to me all the time. And the context in which he said it, I think, was so different to the 19 different ways I've been able to apply it and draw meaning out of it. But he used to say to me all the time, it's not about you. Like anything that I'm busy, he'd be like, it's not about you. And at the time, it's hard for me to recall the exact moment him saying it and what its relevancy was. But because it's become such a fundamental statement for me in my life, that the moments become so much greater than maybe we were just sitting around the fire one day having a beer and he was like, hey dude, that thing you're doing, not about you. You know, like I don't know, but
well, look at you. You've created a whole platform of hearing other people's life stories and conversations. You've made it not about you.
Well, and you know, like in acting and stuff as well, like with a lot of things that I like making, it's been really hard for me to wrap my head around that because of what you said. Like, why do I like being on a stage? Why do I like being in front of camera? Why do I like studying the way that I feel? And, you know, like, it's about me all the time. So it was so hard for me to wrap my head around, like, I've chosen a career.
But I also think, like, that's an important thing to touch on, because I think it's something that people get confused with, is like, there is a healthy and very important form of narcissism. And we've, like, kind of commandeered that word and made it, I mean, it's one of the songs on the album, Narcissist Playbook. That kind of narcissism, a very different story to what we're talking about, which is like getting in touch with the part of you that wants to achieve something in life, that takes an interest in yourself. And I always come back to that saying, it's a cliche for a reason. You can't pour from an empty cup, you know? If you don't know who you are, what you want, what you stand for, and like what your why is, you can't help other people get there. You can't have conversations about it. Like you can't, life isn't one-sided. If you're sitting here and I'm just lecturing you, you know, if you don't bring yourself to the table, we can't have a conversation. And I think, it's been an interesting journey for me, but it's something that I've realized quite recently is like being afraid to know who you are and to have your own voice is never going to help you in life. You have to know what you stand for in order to kind of make any meaningful impact in the world. And that's the kind of big journey I've taken in this album, is being like, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I want to put my voice to? It's interesting because it's a topic that I'm actually busy looking into I've been asked to do a TED Talk, which is very exciting.
Sick. Dope. Okay.
And it's a topic I'm really interested in, is like, what is it about the power of a single voice? You know, the impact that one person and their story can have on other people. I mean, we've all felt it. We've all been in a conversation where someone's told us something about them or about what they've been through, and we walk away and go like, wow, like, that's insane. I need to like internalize that and see how I can bring that into my world and community and the people around me. And I think, there's something incredibly powerful about knowing who you are, but having an open mind and being open to change. But
key factor as well.
Very important. But I think people need to take more of an interest in themselves. Be interested in who you are, because that'll allow you to be interested in who other people are. You know,
you can find points of relation.
Exactly. And it's something my dad left me with, is he always used to say, like, what is your why? What is your reason for being? What's your, you know, it's quite a hard question to answer, and it's quite a question to ask. Like, he started asking me when I was 21, you know, and I was like, Connor, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to finish university. Like, I don't know what my why is. Just trying to study and afford beer. But it's something that I like circled around in the back of my head for ages, and that's why, I mean, I keep coming back to it, because it is my why, is connection. You know, that's my reason for being, is like, I find no value in life no value in life without connecting with people. Because if you can't share things, if you can't experience things with other people, if you can't talk about things with other people, if you're just alone in it, you know, what are your benchmarks for success other than that? You know, you can have money and fame and all of this. If you can't share it with the people you love, what's really the point? You're just sitting alone in your mansion with your private planes. Like, cool, I don't want that.
And then when you do try to get people involved, is there any genuineness or honesty in that involvement at that point? So like, build the other first, and you'll have enjoyment out of everything else that comes thereafter, right?
Exactly. And a full life for me is not measured on those things. I would say even thus far, I've just turned 28 and I've led a very full life because of the people I have in it, the people that I've spent time with, the conversations that I've had, the connections that I've made. And I think, I'm critical of the society we've built and how we
100%.
benchmark success.
No, 100%. I'm with you. Yeah.
I think it's very problematic.
It is. I have a really weird question, but you made me. There was a literal like 4 or 5 words you said that made me think of it. The power of one voice. That got me thinking. Like, there's so many single voices, or like, let's stick on music. There's so many musicians that will write something or make something that I listen to and go, fuck, I wish I made that. Like, I wish
All
I
the
had the
time.
moment of sitting there, feeling it, and then writing it down and going, oh, this is really good. You have that as well?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, good.
I think
Okay, good.
every person on the planet has had that
Yeah.
being like, I think it's an admiration. It's like anything that lights that fire inside you that makes you feel something. I think you want a part of, and that's why these things, movies, music, why we relate so heavily to these things and why they become such an integral part of our lives is because they bring to life little parts of who we are, our fantasies, what we want for ourselves, our dreams, and they let us play out those things, or they put the soundtrack to the thing we're already experiencing, But there's definitely been many a time where I'm sitting there being like, God, I wish I wrote this song.
Can
fucking good.
Can you think of one?
Oh,
I know
so
that's a
many.
terrible question to
No.
throw you in the deep end.
Very recently, Olivia Dean's "Man I Need," banger,
Okay.
absolute banger.
Olivia
The
Dean.
second do you not know Olivia Dean?
I need to see a face.
She is incredible. She's having a moment at the moment. She's coming up. She just headlined Glastonbury, a whole lot
don't
of
know
massive
Olivia Dean.
festivals in the UK.
Man I Need, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sick,
she's
I'm
just
downloading
released her album, The Art of Loving,
Yeah.
and they're like she's sensational.
Sick. Okay, I'm in.
Amy Winehouse, Back to Black is another one. Great song.
My word.
Great
Hers a
album.
whole
Yeah.
word.
It's interesting. I think one of the biggest challenges of being in this realm and in this world as an artist, and I'm sure you have a similar experience as an actor, is like struggling to not compare yourself to other people. And I think it's so important to be able to take inspiration without the comparison. You know what I mean? Because like comparison is toxic. The second you start comparing yourself and benchmarking yourself to other people, like it's important as like your own kind of investment in your own personal success. But the second you start stripping yourself down because you're not like someone else or can't do what someone else can, like then we're just getting into the weeds of it,
How do you differentiate the two? Like, how have you been able to figure it out for yourself?
I think it's first of all an like active decision in and of yourself to be like, okay, cool, I'm not letting myself go down this wormhole, and the second I start having those thoughts of being like, why can't I do this? Why aren't I better at that? Why aren't I as big as this person? I'm like, whoa, okay, like compare yourself to yourself, if anything, look back, where were you 6 months ago? Are you doing better than that? Cool, you're on the right track, and you can have your goals and your benchmarks, but I think it's the value in looking at other people and other artists is taking inspiration, is going, wow, how incredible is that? What can I emulate? What can I learn from? What can I take and make my own? I mean, art in and of itself is just it's a repetition. It's a recreation, I think we are far enough along in human society to know that there's not all that much original left to be made, well, that's not true. There's originality, but it's you're taking
Inspired by. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same way as that we as people take little bits of the people around us, what we love about them, how they influence us, and that makes up our personality in big part, So I think it's about allowing yourself the space to be inspired and to set goals for yourself, but not allow yourself to kind of tear yourself down.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's very tough because I make the comparison all the time of like in sport, there's a definitive first, second, third.
Yeah.
with something creative, there isn't that. Everything's opinion.
Yeah.
So what you compare yourself to is your opinion of where you think you should be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that person's not necessarily first or second and you third.
And even that is subjective.
Yeah.
What you think success is.
Exactly, right? That
know?
person might be, this is a silly example, but that person might be super wealthy of what they've made, but they're still sitting in a space of like, I don't think I've made anything meaningful yet.
Yeah.
Or I don't like what I've made actually.
Exactly,
I actually want to do this, you know?
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of fighting their own battle with their own creativity and the thing that they want to make, which was such a valuable lesson for me to learn as well. Because I've got a lot of friends that have done very, very, like very well that I got to look at and go like, how do you do that? You know, I want to get to do that stuff, you know?
Tell me, what's the roadmap?
Yeah. Draw me a picture. Yeah. And then you have conversations with them and they come from a genuine space of being like, dude, I just want to make stuff that I really like, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a very humbling experience to have someone that you see as more successful, better achieved, blah, 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 turn around and be like, no, dude, at the end of the day, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And you go, oh shit, I've got the same longing. I also want to make something really meaningful.
Yeah.
And you connect on that same level. I
Yeah.
want to take it back to your album quick fast and go on a question that I'm really been wanting to ask you is why the order of the way things are. So I'll read out for the listeners a glimpse inside my mind. So the order of songs is I'm Fine to Medicated, Can't Hold Me Down, Being a Woman, Glimpse Inside My Mind, Don't Play It Cool, Time With You, and then Narcissist's Playbook.
Yes.
Why the order?
Great question.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I realized only in hindsight after writing all of the songs that I was very intentional in the storytelling, but in terms of the sound, I didn't realize as I was writing how it tied into that. So for me, I'm Fine is so A Glimpse Inside My Mind is kind of a look at this last chapter of my life, the things that happened to me, the things that influence who I've become, a little kind of look into this last little chapter. And I'm Fine for me was kind of the start of that story, that losing my sister, the coming to terms with that incredible loss and pain and sitting with that and coming to terms with the fact that I was not in fact fine, you know. And that was the beginning of me starting to feel again, but I wasn't really in touch with my emotions, with what I was feeling. I was fine.
Okay,
I'm
just fine. Yeah, just fine.
I'm fine. You know, the standard response when someone
Yeah.
asks you, how are you doing? I can't tell you how many times I've said that. You
Oh,
know?
it's like the Friends
yeah.
reference with Ross.
Exactly. I'm fine.
Yeah.
No,
I'm fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tray of margaritas.
Yeah. There we go.
No, I think, and that song came to me because of the amount of times I've said that, and it wasn't true, you know, like losing my sister, losing my dad, and people being like, how are you doing? The little head nod, you know. And I was like, no, I'm fine, really, I'm fine. And that kind of song was born out of that. And then Medicated went into the next kind of phase of it being put on medication, trying to be more fine, trying to kind of rediscover myself. And then Can't Hold Me Down really for me represents the moment that I decided to live again. You know, that was me kind of reclaiming my power, stepping back into who I am and who I wanted to be, and being like, okay, and Can't Hold Me Down, it sounds like, when you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like I'm telling the story of a toxic relationship that I'm leaving. When I wrote that, I was imagining what I'd say to my depression if it was sitting across the table from me. And it was basically me breaking up with it.
No way.
That's
such a cool concept.
Yeah, and I was like, you can't hold on to me anymore. Like, I'm stronger
Yeah.
than this. I'm stronger than you thought I was, than I thought I was. I'm basically talking to myself, but kind of
No, I like
my
that a lot.
Depression
Yeah.
manifested, and I was like, fuck you. I'm out of here. I'm stronger than this. I'm getting out of bed. I'm living my life. I'm taking back my power. And that's when you also start to hear the production and the sound of the album start to grow. I'm Fine's quite subdued. Medicated also has that kind of bouncy feel, but it's not big yet, you know. Can't Hold Me Down starts to grow, and then the album goes from there in energy as well. And that wasn't on purpose.
Really?
Well, it was in that, like, it wasn't when I was writing the songs. So topic-wise, the songs kind of came quite naturally to me. And then when I put the flow of the story together, I felt this energy, and I was like, how did I manage that?
Yeah, that's so cool.
It just fell into place, and I was like, wow, okay. This actually, the storyline and how I've written it flows quite nicely. I think it came together very beautifully. And some choices were super intentional and very much well thought out, and others just happened. But I think that's the beauty of art, right? You put a brush stroke on a canvas, and next thing you know, you got a painting.
100%.
And sometimes, I always used to laugh. I don't know about you. I was an English nerd in school. I loved
English nerd.
Yeah, English was my favorite subject, which makes sense. I'm a writer.
Thinking back.
But I always used to laugh because you always used to do those like lit studies, literature reviews.
Yeah, you have to like find meaning
and poem analysis. Yeah,
yes.
and they'd be like, and when they use this word, it refers back to this, and I think that the poet might have been trying to communicate this, and you're like, but
homie was just sad.
The ocean was blue, it's not,
Yeah.
like, and in some ways it is that deep, and you can take that meaning, and in other ways sometimes it was by mistake. Like, they were not thinking that at all.
And both are special, right? Like the intentionality behind writing it is awesome, but also sometimes like get out of your own way and let what gets put down.
And the magic of it is how it resonates with people and how they interpret it. That's what makes writing, music, art, movies so great, is that each person takes what they want from it. They interpret it in a different way, Yeah. So something that I might have done purposefully might not land with someone else. And then something else that I did by mistake might be like, wow, this is incredible. Why did you do that? Well, fuck knows. It just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the magic of music, and of also particularly working with a live band, because stuff happens kind of in the natural flow of things, sometimes by mistake, And I think, I'm hopeful that there'll be a bit of a kind of return back to live music, to live bands, to people craving some sense of authenticity. Like, I love a good rave as much as the next person, but there's something really special about having a full band of musicians up on stage that are kind of bearing their hearts to you, and knowing that they're in a very vulnerable position. If they screw up, there are hundreds of people watching, tens of thousands of people watching them, you know what I mean? And I think it's interesting. I think I crave it, and I'm hoping that other people are starting to crave it, to have more live music, more access to live music, more live musicians in studio, more art that's created out of genuine kind of collaboration, rather than nothing wrong with a person with a laptop and a mic. That's a beautiful way to create. But I feel like you take it to the next level when you start getting other people involved, when you start collaborating with other artists, other genres. I struggle with that in Cape Town as well. South African music industry.
Like genre specifically?
It's very siloed by genre. South African music industry in general, but specifically, is like, I don't know what it is. I feel like, people write to their sound, and there isn't enough overflow of like, I can take inspiration from you as a rap artist, as much as you can take inspiration from me as a soul pop artist, as much as we can take inspiration from a jazz artist, you know what I mean? And that's actually where the beauty of creating comes in, and of taking influence from other things. That's how you create new, unique sounds.
So why do you think there's such a barrier between genre?
It's hard to say. I think the South African music industry is a complicated one, because there's so many different things that have come into play, both politically and structurally, in terms of funding, in terms of who provides funding to who, all that. But also like culturally, and in terms of like the way people write. I think it is nice to find familiarity, and often as artists, especially in South Africa, it can feel quite lonely, because there are not that many of us doing what we're doing, you know what I mean? It's hard to make a career out of music in this country. It's incredibly difficult. So the people that do stick it out are kind of few and far between, and then you end up kind of gravitating towards the people who are similar to you and make similar music, do similar things. That's not a bad thing, and I think it's important to feel like you have that community of people that you can relate to, that have been through similar circumstances, that write similar stuff, But I think what we've lost is a little bit of the the kind of cultural overflow of like, oh, well, why don't we, reach out to XYZ person or bring in someone that's not in our little bubble, you know what I mean? And the reason I feel like I can say that is because I've never really fit into, I don't think I belong to any one kind of silo.
Intentionally.
No, I think I would have quite comfortably wanted that like sense
Community.
of belonging.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't know who I was. I couldn't belong to something. You can't belong to something if you don't know who you are and what you're doing and what. So I was constantly kind of reaching out to people and collaborating with people and trying to figure out. And this is the first time I've landed on a sound that I feel like really represents who I am. And because of that, I haven't had the time to kind of settle into any one genre, but also intentionally the album doesn't fit into any one genre. It's a very like multi-layered, multi-influenced. We threw out the rule book. We're like, nah, we're not going to write something that fits into pop or soul or jazz. We're going to kind of pull from all of those different influences and write music that we love, And I don't know. It's interesting because it's also easy to sit back and criticize and say like, but this and that about the South African music industry. But I think it's really important as an artist to also call myself on it and be like, okay, what part am I playing in this? And that's why I've started to like really step into being like, okay, how can I put my voice to stuff that I believe in? How can I make sure that I'm playing my part? How I'm actively participating in the South African music industry, empowering other artists, connecting with other artists, because that's how you raise each other up, That's how you make the industry better, is taking the time, one, to get to know each other, and two, to help each other find opportunities.
Yeah.
Because often there'll be stuff that like comes across and I'm like, oh, this isn't right for me, but I can hand it on to the next person and vice versa, But if you're not connected with those people,
you won't know who to hand over to.
Yeah.
Are there musicians currently that you, you don't have to say who they are if you don't want to, but like, are there musicians currently that you're going, I want to work with them, I want to collaborate with these people?
Yeah, big time. And I've taken a lot of time. I wrote an article for the Daily Maverick on the kind of lack of representation and visibility for women in the music industry at the moment. And one of the big things I explored was kind of this fierce sense of scarcity mindset, that there is enough space for all of us, that we're all fighting for that same one or two slots on a lineup. But what it ends up creating is like this sense of competition rather than a sense of collaboration, And then I sat with that after making it and being like, okay, I wrote this article, I'm putting my voice and I did my research and I've looked at the statistics, I can back up what I'm saying. How can I play my part to change this a little bit? You know what I mean? What can I do? So I sat and curated this whole playlist, We Are the Women ZA. It's a playlist on Spotify, and I've just started kind of putting it out there, and it's basically an amalgamation of all of these incredible female South African musicians that I've found and the music that they've created, and it was like such an eye-opening experience for me. I mean, I sat there, half these people I'd never heard of, and I was like, this music is incredible. Like, why are these people not bigger? Why aren't they given more of a platform? So that was me kind of deciding to play my part and be like, how can I elevate other people's, and I'm not the biggest artist in the world. It might not make that much of a difference, but at least I'm trying.
It's something.
And I've got a couple ideas. I want to do a spin-off of that hopefully translates into a live show where we can get some all-female lineups, try draw a bit of a crowd, get people in front of live audiences. But I think it's an interesting one because it's hard to navigate. And there's so many things as well that you could try and get behind. There's so many causes that I'm passionate about. But this is one that I do feel like I'm informed on and have experience in and can help other people with, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to kind of pick my battles.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you have. Well, if you want help or support in any of that stuff, please just shout, because we had Anika Kiana and Carla Franco both on the show as well. And they express pretty much the same frustrations of there's so much talent.
They're both on the playlist.
Yeah, there we go. I'll find that playlist definitely on Spotify. Thank you.
I'll send it to you. Even in that, like, I discovered so many artists that are now like regular listens for me. Like I've added them to my own personal playlists. There's some incredible stuff on there. And it's a whole cross-section of genres as well. I've really taken the time to go through and do like I curated it a bit like a live set. So it starts off slower, more kind of laid-back, jazzy, soul vibes, and then picks up to the more pop, punk, poppy vibes, and then ends off with the more hard-hitting, like hard rock, a little bit of metal even, I think. Like there's stuff in there that I didn't even know that South African artists were doing.
I didn't know that either.
And that's on me. I should have looked harder.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like people don't do the work to find those things. So I want to put in the effort so that other people can find it more easily, you know, and give these artists a bit more of an opportunity to be found by the people who were always already going to like their music. They just haven't heard it yet, you know.
Yeah, you kind of have to do the work for the listener a lot of the time. You kind of have to go put it in front of them and go listen to this, because people don't actively, and a lot of the time it's not people's fault.
Well, I understand it. I
people
mean,
don't
there's
put the time
such
in.
an influx of like we are so overstimulated and overwhelmed with information, with access to media, with all these things we're meant to watch, listen to, spend time on, you know, work on yourself, do your job, this, that, the next thing, listen to this podcast, listen to this music. Like it's exhausting. You can't keep up with everything.
Yeah.
But I do think art is something worth making time for.
100%. Yeah, and also like developing, I mean, everything we've spoken on, right? Of like learning who you are, being inspired inspired by things. And the only way for me to do that is through art, right? Is through different forms of art, whether it be music or film or writing. Or I find that the best way for me to do it, because I find things about myself and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And I want other people to experience that same thing.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, well done on making that playlist. That's very cool. We'll definitely share that and everything below as well. Below as in the links and media and all the stuff, not underneath this table. We'll get all of that out. Thank you for coming in and for having this conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's been so great chatting to you.
Yeah, that was a really nice conversation. Thank you. This always feels like therapy for me. I love it. It's incredible. No, because I get so much insight from someone else that like, yeah, it's awesome to hear you speak about the things that you love and the things that you've made, but also how you be using that to make difference in other places, right? It's made a difference for you as a person and helped you heal and helped you move on and helped you to get to the next stage of life. And now you're providing that for other people as well. So that's incredible. Yeah, so thank you. Please, please keep writing, keep making. Not that I think you'll ever stop.
No, I don't think I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you do next and where you go. I'm sure it's going to be huge. I'm sure it's going to be big. Both here and overseas.
Yeah.
We'll just put both on the table.
Yeah, perfect. Let's just global.
Yeah. We all want to be here because we love our home, but I also really would love to see the States.
Yeah.
But so I'm always in that constant balance between the two, which I don't know if you are as well, but
no,
I think
100%.
most artists
I don't want to
are,
leave.
yeah.
This is my home. I
Yeah.
never want to live anywhere else, but I will travel.
Yeah, there you go. We'll take over that side as well.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Guys, please go download the album. Go show your support. Go grab that playlist as well. I'll put everything below. You can find everything there. Support local artists and support Kristi. Incredible musicians, incredible artists from our hometowns, bro. But thank you so much for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. God bless. Have a great week.